picture. Really the hottest nigga, you gon' respect this lava. I'm shooting it if I pull it, boy, make sure you want this drama. I bring it to you like it's Law and Order SVU. Turn you to a vegetable, now you look good inside a soup. Family come from Bishopville, but I grew up in that Bronx Zoo where they shoot you dead in the street and then dance all on top of you. And I do what I gotta do.
Started. Please don't get me started. Started.
What's good, it's State Almighty, aka the Global Dark Skin Ambassador, with some news for that ass. Homicide is connected to Playboi Carti and normally to Future, a big name. They've had an ongoing rivalry with henchmen. This is two blood sets shooting at one another. There's a trail of dead and jailed rappers all through this beef. The DA's office confirmed to me on Friday that homicide is one of several street gangs on the road to a racketeering charge. All right, well, so some Caucasian man connected to the scene. It seems to me that the Atlanta, Georgia DA is on a mission to lock up as many rappers as possible as we are closing in on Election Day, okay, which is in November. Homicide and Henchmen. Both of their names have an X instead of a C because, you know, they're bloods. They're bloods, you get it? They're bloods, so they take the C out. But yeah, so they have publicly made it known that Homicide and Henchmen are on their way to receiving a gang-related racketeering / Rico case. And the reason why they made this public, it gotta be because whoever's gonna snitch, they want them to get ready to snitch. Whoever they in talks to, that the rest of the homies don't know they're in talks with, they getting them ready to tell, y'all. It's about to happen. It's about to happen, man. And if you think they pulled the move like they did with Young Thug and Gunna and YSL, that they wouldn't try to do the same thing to Future and Playboi Carti, you got another thing coming. It's close to Election Day. It's close to Election Day. One who's running for office and is behind locking up so many, let's keep it real, criminals, degenerates. The votes would very likely go in your way. They would very likely go in your way, in your way, in your way, in your way. If you lock up a couple more dudes, man. I mean, listen. Do I think Future and Playboi Carti gonna go down for this? Maybe. Depends on what they got on them. I personally think Future been rich for way too long. Playboi Carti been rich for way too long. I don't feel like, it just doesn't appear to me like they could be as involved as maybe like a Young Thug was in his situation. But we don't know. Unless you're Atlanta DA, all right, or you're Atlanta police, and you personally know who's snitching, you personally have phone records, camera footage of certain situations, right? You do not know what's going on. You do not know what's going on. For all we know, they could be kingpins. You know, they could be, I'm sure Future got a bar somewhere in his catalog that says he bought guns for his hitters. You know what I mean? It may be a little bit harder for Playboi Carti, you know, but hey, they both associated. They both associated, man. And they letting this information be known that Homicide and the Henchmen, two different blood sets that's leaving a trail of bodies and all type of other stuff. They letting it be known who they connected to. You know what I mean? And it makes one think, right? Like, Future just sold his whole entire catalog for like 75 M's? What if he's either preparing for his own lawyers and his own personal fees if he goes down, right? Or he's preparing himself to pay for his homies' fees when they go down, right? Me personally, Future done dropped like 14 albums in like 10 years. He done dropped probably just as many mixtapes within the same amount of time. The man be in the studio a little bit too much to be having a major role in any kind of criminal organization. He's always on tour. I don't know how that's gonna go. But I know Atlanta DA is on their ass. Atlanta DA is on they bumper. Atlanta DA clearly wants to lock up Future and Playboi Carti. They're trying to do it. And another thing, let's speak on once again, right? Gangs. Bunch of people who look like each other. They're even under the same gang, which is the Bloods. They're just two different sets. Started in Atlanta, Georgia. They taking each other out. They got long-lasting beefs. Going to jail or dying in the streets. And here's the crazy thing, right? Enough of these dudes get locked up, somebody's definitely gonna tell. It always happens, like for real. Like the only time I heard about a situation where a bunch of dudes in a gang got locked up and nobody told was Bobby Shmurda, GS9. That's the only time. That's the only time. Like dudes went to trial or they copped out. Even Bobby, he took 2 extra years. So Rowdy Rebel could get less time and Rowdy ended up coming home before him. Like, he chose to suffer more for. Other than that, it's like a bunch of dudes clapping at each other, taking each other's lives, going to jail over something that probably was frivolous in the beginning. And a lot of dudes is gonna tell. I'll keep y'all updated with the report. Peace.